trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Daily Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, if you missed the morning broadcast, please be sure to check that out at your convenience. And also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving those notifications. All right, because sometimes people mysteriously become unsubscribed. With that all being said, let's get ready to get into it, honey. Okay, retired federal police officer Carol Banks is here. Lillian X, Deronda, Nessa G, Perplex, Lorraine is in the house. All right, Desmond. All right, let's get into it. Anita Harrell. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Reggie, DJ Big Six, Panther Strike. All right, Michael is here. Lillian X, Ann is here. Okay, so I see you, Mel. We the people. All right, so shout out to everybody and a big shout out to my moderators putting in work. So before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com, and she also sells beard oil. Okay, so you all know Kamala wrote a book, and I find it also interesting because Kamala said some things about Joe Biden and Barack Obama in the book that I found very interesting. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. Everybody hit that like button. Now, before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about, I'm just going to go to DaCara Thompson. I'm just going to show a couple of minutes of, a few minutes of a snippet from her funeral, which was held today. Okay, you all remember DaCara Thompson, the young Black lady who was 19 years old, who told her father she'd be back home soon and never made it back alive. And turns out that she lost her life and the culprit has been arrested. Okay, so today they buried her. Prayers and condolences to her family, friends, and loved ones. And so, as I said, I'm just going to show a few clips from her funeral. We're also going to talk about Romeca really quick. I don't have a lot of information on Romeca. I know some of you were asking me for updates, and there really isn't much new information, but we're going to get into that. And then we're going to get into Kamala. Okay, so like, share, and subscribe. Thank you in advance.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube. And
you lift me up. Unfailing love, unfailing love. Stronger than mountains. Stronger than mountains. Deeper than the ocean. Deeper than ocean. And it reaches to me. Unfailing love. Unfailing love. Stronger than mountains. Stronger than mountains. Deeper than the ocean. Deeper than ocean. And it reaches to me. Oh yes, Lord. Unfailing love. Unfailing love. Stronger than mountains. Stronger than mountains. Deep.
All understanding. God, we come to you because you love us. Even you sent your son to die on the cross for our sins. And God, even in the midst of death, you said that there is life after this life. You said that you prepared a place for us, that where you go, we may be also. And so, God, I pray that anyone in this house that doesn't know you as their Lord and Savior, I pray that today would be the day that they ask, what must I do to be saved? We thank you for this life that we are going to celebrate today, Lord God. We thank you for this rose that we got a chance to witness the beauty of. And so today, Lord, in the midst of tears that may flow, I pray that there might be a praise in the house. I pray that there might be an upwelling in our spirits, Lord, that you can help us keep on. In the days and in the weeks to come, God, be with this family. You know each and every situation. You know each and every heart. God, just comfort them. Comfort the community, Lord. Comfort the area, God. We pray and ask your blessings over this service and that you would be with us and guide us forevermore. It's in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
When y'all hear, y'all see like pictures like this, all I see is my little sister. You know, like same girl that used to unpause my game when I go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I come back like, what you doing? Like, my mother was like, Danny, don't be giving her no snacks, it's bedtime. You know, she give me the look. I'm sneaking her Oreos, cupcakes, and stuff like that. Like, even just like just her being like so small, like neighborhood fights or something. My mom out there like, Danny, get him, woman. The car was like, yay. She don't even know what she looking at. But, you know, I'ma just really miss my sister. We had so many times, all of us together, just growing up together in that house. It was always something. It was always a good time, and I'm really, really miss my sister. Like, and it's not a day that I don't go past. I don't think about it. Like, I don't know. It's just unreal. It's just unbelievable right now. And like, it's hard. I look at my daughter. My daughter reminds me so much of my sister, and it's like, I don't know. I just know wherever she at now. I know she's so much happier, and I just pray that she keep my family safe and just smile down on us. And every funeral I've ever been to in my life, it's always raining. You know, today was sunny, so I mean that's a good sign. So I don't know. I love her, and like I said, I want to thank y'all for coming to show my family support.
Hi. Cara. We grew up together, side by side, not just family, but best friends, sharing secrets, laughter, and dreams. You are my sister in every way, my secret keeper, my laughter, and my safe place. Life feels so empty without you here. I still reach for you in big moments and small. I still hear your voice when I need comfort. Rose, you are more than your name. You are love, beauty, and strength. Even though I have to say goodbye, our bond can never end. It feels impossible that you're gone because in my heart, you're still here. I see you in every memory and I carry you in every step I take. I don't know how to say goodbye to someone who is a part of my soul, but I promise I'll carry you with me always, in every smile, in every memory, and in every step forward.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there before we all start crying if you aren't already. Okay, rest in peace. You know, prayers, condolences, and blessings for her family. And may she rest in peace. And I hope that the culprit gets exactly what's coming to him. Okay, so this is a very sad thing. And, you know, all of these people passed away back to back when you think about it, right? These young ladies passed away back to back. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about briefly Romeca Meeks. Someone asked me about an update. Well, there really isn't much of an update because here's the thing. Holly Johnson, Quadasia, whatever her real name is, they said she changed her name and whatnot. Listen, it seems like, yes, Mel, she was very young, beloved. She absolutely was. Now, the thing with Romeca, it seems like Holly carefully thought all of this out. Like I told you all. Now, there's a man, um, that has some contact with the Chicago police, and he basically says that it is not looking like she's going to get prosecuted right now. I told you all. They're saying that this girl's family has connections in politics, that there's some high-priced attorney, you know, that she has or whatever, and that basically she covered her tracks by having established a paper trail. Okay, because they say this girl has gone to school for criminal justice, or she's either gone to school or going to school. One of the two. Okay, that's alleged. That's what people are saying. And basically her getting the restraining order, and I told you all this already. I said it in the first few days, that her having the restraining order against Romeca and having her license and all that to carry, this was all leading up to what she probably already knew she was going to do. Okay? That's what this is all leading up to. And I find it all interesting at the end of the day. And you all know something else that's interesting. Her child's father, Carlos. Now, Carlos actually had a song that he did. He had a song that he did, which sounds real crazy. Okay, I might play that for you. I might get a copyright claim. I don't really care at this point, but I might play that for you all. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I'm going to go to this TikTok with this young woman talking about it, saying basically that Carlos tried to show up at the funeral, knowing that he was involved in her death. Okay, had the nerve to show up at the funeral. So let's get into that. And then I'm going to just go to some clips of the funeral. At the end of the day, the funeral was lovely. It was a beautiful homegoing. It was in her favorite color, which is pink. Everybody wore pink, and it was really nice. And I want you all to pay attention because the mother had come out publicly and said for people to stop putting out these GoFundMes. Okay, she came out and told people to stop putting up the GoFundMes because her family didn't need it. She said Romeca was good. And she said some of these people out here talking trash, talking about how Romeca wore name brands and all of that stuff, and then acting like they couldn't afford her funeral to put her to rest. But she said they could. They didn't need anybody's donations. So if you saw any GoFundMes, she wanted everybody to know that those weren't for her. But it was a very nice funeral, if you ask me. Okay, so let's go to this video. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
So I just saw this video that Romeca baby dad tried to come to her funeral. They say that there was no fights that popped off. He got escorted away peacefully. But this is my whole thing. If y'all don't see clear as that what was going on, then y'all will never see what's going on. You could tell from Romeca's page that it was clear as day they were just going back and forth because Carlos was playing both sides. Carlos spent the majority of Holly pregnancy with Romeca and baby Carlos. And I know his conscience is tearing him up for the role that he played in that girl's unaliving. To know that you'll never see her again and it was at the hands of you and this other lady who you pillow talked and may have hatred in her heart towards that girl. I know it's eating you up. I just feel like all of this could have been prevented because now your junior don't even have a mom anymore. And he loved his mom more than anything. The way that baby brought down at their funeral. But yeah, that conscience tearing him up because he know that he was wrong and he know that he didn't have to play the game fucked up. All you had to do was tell little Holly baby, hey, listen, I want to be with Romeca, but because you hadn't got that girl pregnant, you knew you took it too far. And she had been antagonizing that girl and they going back and forth. It would have never been nothing other than monkey in the middle triangulation bullshit. But to know that you tried to come to that girl funeral, I just feel like he about to get on that stand and get to talking on Holly once this shit go to trial. Watch.
Well, that's if it ever even goes to trial, which hopefully it will, but it's not looking so good right about now. Okay, it's not looking so good right about now. And I actually was going to send an email to the Chicago Police Department to try to get freedom of information, or whatever, but I saw somebody already got it, and it really was no information. It really wasn't much information. Okay, and rightfully so, because like I said, she hasn't even been charged yet. Okay, so that all being said, I'm going to go to some clips of her homegoing, and then we're going to get into this Kamala book.
in a sex game. My kick, the words, my favorite. Can't even only be money saves. It's like an earthquake, don't call you out. Queen of constant, just get it from the back. Such a nice play, easy, just a move along. Soul, and that's here to stay. Every time look at a sex game, my kick, the words, my favorite. Can't even only be money saves. It's like an earthquake, don't call you out. Queen of constant, just get it from the back. Such a nice play, easy, just a move along. Soul, and that's here to stay. Every time look at a sex game, my kick, the words.
All right. So that was really, really a beautiful homegoing service. And the part where her sister and her were dancing, that's something that they always did. And then to see her sister now dancing by herself on the day of the funeral, that was really sad to watch. My prayers and condolences to her family, friends, and loved ones. And, you know, Carlos and Holly Johnson, I hope they get exactly what's coming to them, because I still think this was all premeditated and that they had it all planned out. Okay, and the nerve that Carlos had the audacity to show up thinking he was going to get to that funeral. Okay, so with that all being said, Mel says she was a beautiful sister. Yes, she was. She absolutely was. Cookie said, facts, queen. Okay, so now let's talk about Kamala. Okay, let's get into it, because Kamala, oh, hold on. There's one more thing. There is one more thing I wanted you all to see. I thought this was interesting. You know, Carlos thinks he's a rapper. Okay, her child's father, Carlos, thinks he's a rapper. And this song that he made, I thought it was very interesting. Hold on. Let me let you all hear this.
She calling me psycho. The bitch leave me. I'm a shooter with my rifle. Get that simple. She calling me psycho. The bitch leave me. I'm a shooter with my rifle.
Because if you calling me psycho, if you leave, like, yeah. But everybody want to make it seem like Romeca was just putting up for no reason.
Calling me psycho. The bitch leave me. I'm a shooter with my rifle.
Baby mama is fucking.
Hey, y'all heard that right? He said she's calling me psycho. If the bee leaves me, I'm a shooter with my rifle. Sorry. Say what now? Yeah, those lyrics need to be used against him just like they use Young Thug's lyrics, okay? That's how that should go. This is all a hot mess. Are y'all listening? Who writes those kind of lyrics? And that's a terrible rapper, honey. He needs to give it up. Okay, don't quit your day job. All right, Purple X said a rapper. Queen, I'm already overwhelmed. Not right now. Not right now. That damn demon. Okay. Yeah. Durana said that's crazy. It sure is. Laverne said, is that fool high? All right. Panther Strike said, there's your proof. He's a dusty dude. Definitely he is. Okay. Now let's talk about Kamala, honey, because Kamala is out here letting it all hang out. All right, please pay attention. Now, there's 2 interviews that Kamala has done because she's on her book tour to sell her book, which the Queen is going to purchase. And I'll likely read a few excerpts of it to those of you who have members on this channel because I heard it was juicy. One of my friends already ordered it and got theirs today. All right, it's called 107 Days because that's how much time Kamala had to prepare her campaign to try to win the presidential election, which sadly she didn't. And now we have to deal with this devil by the name of Donald J. Trump. So sadly. But with that all being said, I have excerpts from 2 of the interviews. So let me ask you all this. Do you all want to hear the interview that she did with Michael Strahan or the one that she did with Rachel Maddow? Let me know which one y'all want to hear. I'll probably play some of both. The one with Michael Strahan is only like 11 minutes. The one she did with Rachel is an hour. And trust me, when I tell you I'm not going to play that whole thing, okay? That's what I'm not going to do. All right? Y'all said Rachel for sure. Hold up. Hold up. Are y'all trying to say that Mr. Strahan can't do an interview? Because I actually liked his better. Y'all need to sit down somewhere. Well, then again, I didn't listen to all of Rachel's. I probably listened to like 5 minutes of it, but I did like Michael's. Okay. Rachel said either or. Y'all are crazy. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play a bit of both. So I'm gonna play Strahan's whole interview. His is only 11 minutes, okay? And I'll play a few excerpts from Rachel. So let's get into it. All right. Now, if anybody doesn't like it, just tune out until I'm done and tune back in. Okay? DJ Big Six said no softball questions. DJ Big Six, you always are in here starting mess, okay? Let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Lillian says Strahan is a good interviewer. He really is, okay? Y'all need to sit down somewhere. Somebody said definitely Rachel. Like he's just trash as an interviewer. Sit down. Okay, here we go.
Which
hold on, let me see where it starts. Okay, here we go. This is the beginning.
Decision around the president abandoning his reelection campaign, the timing there and how it's handled. You say in part, page 46, it's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. Whose decision should that have been? How should that decision have been made?
So when I write this, it's because I realize that I have and had a certain responsibility that I should have followed through on. Which is, and so when I talk about the recklessness, as much as anything, I'm talking about myself. There was so much, as we know, at stake. And as I write, you know, the where my head was at the time is that it would come off as being completely self-serving.
If you said to President Biden that you did not think he should run again.
Yeah, or even that he should question whether it's a good idea. But I think that, you know, one of the reasons I wrote this book, Rachel, is there are actually a number of reasons. One is that it is unprecedented, right? To your point of what you said in your opening, we had a president of the United States running for re-election, 3.5 months from the election, decides not to run. The sitting vice president enters the race against a former president of the United States who's been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century. And there was so much about those 107 days that for me, and this is really a behind the scenes look at those 107 days, was about seeing people who seemingly had nothing in common coming together by the thousands with a level of optimism and, dare I say, joy about the possibilities for America. And I hope to remind people about that light that people brought to it, and to remind people that that light is still there. And we can't let that be extinguished by an election or the individual who's in the office right now. Because to the point of all those folks who got out and protest about the Kimmel suspension.
And about everything else that people have protested.
Right. In the variety of ways, whether it be going to a protest or being, with their pocketbook or getting engaged in local and state and federal elections, they'll make a difference. And they've made a difference. And I guess the last point is that we've got to really remember that this person who's in the White House promised a whole lot of people who supported him and voted for him that he would do one thing, which is bring down costs and prices. And he lied to them. And we need to remember that as we move forward with the next series of elections, and midterms are around the corner, that it's not just about him by himself. There were others around him who perpetuated that same promise and have not followed through. They're about to go into negotiations around the continuing resolution, the budget. And I know that leaders Schumer and Jeffries are going to meet with the president, I think in the Oval Office. And good for them to go there and ask Donald Trump, the president of the United States, to justify why he is proposing to cut Medicaid, why he is willing to shut down the government for the sake of putting on the backs of working people the tax cut he gave to the richest people in America.
Do you think that Democrats should vote to allow the government to shut down in order to try to extract concessions from Trump on these matters?
It won't be the Democrats who are shutting it down. It'll be the Republicans. The Democrats are doing the job that any elected leader should do, which is to say, we're not going to do the bidding of the president of the United States at the sacrifice of our constituents' health care. Negotiate.
In the next minute, I'm going to show you one thing that you can do right now if you are a trader who wants to improve your trading. In the next 30.
You describe in the book something that you called a secret project that you ran as vice president, that you called the STARS Project, identifying up and coming talent in the Democratic Party. You'd meet with them, ask them about their interests. You say that more than one of them said they felt like they were being called to the principal's office when you asked them to come in. But the folks who you met with in this way include some of the people who you see very frequently now on MSNBC: Jasmine Crockett, Angela Also Brooks, Maxwell Frost, Robert Garcia Moore. Arguably the fastest rising star right now in Democratic politics is Zoran Mamdani, who is going to be elected mayor of New York City, and probably in a landslide if the polls are anything to go by. Lots of mainline Democrats have been very shy about his candidacy. They seem somewhat flummoxed by his success. As a sort of talent spotter in the Democratic Party, what do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure. But let me just say this. He's not the only star. I know that, he's in New York, and I know New Yorkers think they're the center of the world, and here we are in New York having this interview.
It is the biggest city in the country.
And I love New York, as the saying goes. I really do. But, there are people like Barbara Drummond in Mobile, Alabama, Helena Moreno in New Orleans. They're all running for mayor too, and they are stars. So I hope that we don't so over-index on New York City that we lose sight of the stars throughout our country who are right now running for mayor and many other offices, governor, and so on. So that's where I am. We got a big tent. And we got a lot of stars. 2026
is shaping up to be an election that is going to be filled with Democratic primaries, though. And a lot of mainline Democrats in their 70s and 80s are going to be facing challengers in their 30s. Do you think Democrats are at all justified in their frustration with there being so many older Democrats in elected office? Do you think it is time for the oldest Democrats in elected office to be thinking kind of wholesale as a category about the need to retire and move on from office?
You know, I wouldn't overgeneralize on that, meaning that there are some Democrats who are, you know, older in age, but very young in terms of how they are thinking and very bold in terms of how they're thinking. I think that every one of the candidates is going to be judged based on whether they actually have a plan, whether they see the people, whether they're listening to them, whether they offer something that feels dynamic and bold, especially at this moment, whether they have the fight in them to fight what we know to be wrong, but also the fight to fight for something. I think that's how they're going to be judged. I don't know that the voters are going to judge strictly on somebody's age.
You said you're not going to run for governor of California.
Correct.
Were you saying you are never going to run for anything ever again, or were you just saying I'm not going to run for that office right now?
That was the decision before me, and I made the decision not to run for governor of California. By the way, there are a lot of great candidates running, and I love my state, and we want somebody to definitely follow in the footsteps of Gavin in terms of standing up and understanding the power that California has to stand up to what we're saying in D.C.
As politic as you are being in those remarks, you are beautifully impolitic in this book in a way that makes it honest and, as I said, candid, fun to read, and I think really important. I think it is blunt and true, and I commend you for writing it and for being willing to go out there and defend it and talk about it in these blunt terms at a time we need some real straight talk.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And I think America.
You know, I'm just going to. Well, I know you're not considering it now, but are you saying when you said you're not going to run for governor of California?
Correct. Decision with 2 weeks to go. You know, and maybe I was being too cautious. You know, I'll let our friends. We should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
it's not my focus at all.
I know
it really isn't.
I'm just going to.
Yeah.
Now, I just wanted to hear what she said about that. Okay. She said that's not her focus right now. Well, girl, we didn't ask you if that was your focus. She asked you if you were going to run. Would you consider it? She didn't want to give that answer. Okay. She didn't want to give that answer. She said that's not my focus right now. Okay. That was a deflective answer. With that all being said, let's talk about it. Then we're going to go to Strahan's interview, which I think was better than this one. Okay. So the book is notable among election memoirs, okay, in its often candid assessments of figures who are still active in politics and in the possibility that Harris will use it as a launch pad for a third bid for the presidency in 2028. Harris also ran in the 2020 Democratic primaries, but abandoned her bid before the first votes were cast. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about the resentment toward Biden. Because she said that Biden came to her and basically told her that if for any reason he had to drop out, then he said he would support her, but only if that's what she wanted. It's occurred to me that I haven't asked you, Biden said. Okay, she writes that he had clearly rehearsed the speech. It wasn't a spontaneous thought. She said that she replied saying, I'm fully behind you, Joe, but if you decide not to run, I'm ready. And I would give it all I've got because Trump has to be beat. She writes that Biden didn't raise the possibility with her again until nearly a week later when he called to tell her he was leaving office or leaving the race. Biden's spokesperson didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay, now here is some of the rest of what is in the book. Her resentment toward Biden. So early on in 107 days, Harris describes her sentiments toward Biden as she spoke to her campaign staff for the first time in late July at the Wilmington, Delaware headquarters. She says, my feelings for him were grounded in warmth and loyalty, but they had become complicated over time with hurt and disappointment. Now, in detailing her conversation with him when he dropped out, she recalls Biden wanting to wait days to endorse her so national attention would focus on him for a while. A plan that she talked him out of, believing it would have hurt her ability to lock down the delegates that she needed to secure the party's nomination. Now, when Biden spoke to the nation later that week to explain his decision, she writes saying that it was almost 9 minutes into the 11-minute address before he even mentioned me. Okay, she took similar umbrage at Biden's speech at the Democratic National Convention in August. She says he spoke for nearly an hour, detailing the accomplishments of our administration. It was a legacy speech for him, not an argument for me, and he was entitled to it. But if we waited for some personal stories about working with me and what qualities he had seen that led him to endorse me, well, they weren't there. So in the book, Harris bemoans her choice not to question Biden's decision to run again for president. She lays out some of her reasoning at the time, saying all of the people in the White House, of all of them, I was in the worst position to make the case that he should drop out. I knew it would come off to him as incredibly self-serving if I advised him not to run. He would see it as naked ambition, perhaps as poisonous disloyalty, even if my only message was, don't let the other guy win. Now, she then refers to what became a poisonous refrain from Democratic insiders, saying it's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. Now, it's unusual for candidates who may run again to call out members of their own party in memoirs, but Harris does just that in this book, drawing on her contemporaneous notes to detail the responses she got from fellow Democrats when she asked for their endorsements the day Biden dropped out. In some cases, like those of Bill and Hillary Clinton and Representative James Clyburn of South Carolina and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, there was simply no hesitation. But former President Barack Obama, Representative Nancy Pelosi of California, the former House Speaker, and California Governor Gavin Newsom were among those who stalled or ghosted her, according to Harris, from her descriptions in the book of this group. She says, Barack Obama, saddle up. Joe did what I hoped he would do, but you have to earn it. That's what Barack told her. You have to earn it. Michelle and I are supportive, but we're not going to put a finger on the scale right now. Let Joe have this moment. Think through timing, Barack said. Nancy Pelosi said, I'm so sad about Joe. It's so tragic. My heart is broken. But now it's you. It's important there's a process. We have a great bench. We should all have some kind of primary, not an anointment. J.B. Pritzker, a governor of Illinois, says, I'm the convention host. I can't commit. That's what Pritzker told her, and then endorsed Harris a day later. Gavin Newsom said, hiking, I'll call you back. Now that was low down and dirty. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Gavin Newsom said, I'm hiking. I'll call you back. When she called him to see if he would endorse her. How nefarious is that? Because you all know that he was thinking about running himself. Okay. And he probably could have beat Trump. I don't know. But this is all hilarious. He told her, I'm hiking. I'll call you back. Okay, that was cold. Harris writes that her first choice for a running mate was then Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a friend who may also be a 2028 rival. She said he would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, This is what she said about Buttigieg, who is gay. But we were already asking a lot of America to accept a black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. Now, Buttigieg pushed back last week because, honey, he didn't like when she said that. When she came out and said that he was her first choice, but she thought it would be asking too much of America to accept a woman and then a black woman married to a Jewish man and then to accept a gay man as her running mate. She didn't think they were ready for it, so Buttigieg didn't like it. And he did an interview with Politico, okay, after an excerpt of the book was released, saying he was surprised by her take on it all. Okay, honey, he felt some type of way, clearly. All right. He didn't like it one bit. He said, my experience in politics has been that the way that you earn trust with voters is based mostly on what they think you're going to do for their lives, not on categories. Okay, this is what Buttigieg said minutes before a ribbon cutting ceremony in the Monroe County Democratic Party headquarters. Okay, honey, he was not trying to hear any of it. So Harris ended up choosing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, whom she describes as a balance to her in terms of background. One of the three finalists she passed over was Shapiro, whom she described as poised, polished, and personal. In their one-on-one interview, and this man is a good speaker. I kind of felt like Harris might have thought that Josh Shapiro would outshine her. I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking. But anyway, Harris was taken aback when, according to her telling Shapiro said he wanted to be in the room for every decision. She says, I told him bluntly that was an unrealistic expectation. A vice president is not a co-president. I had a nagging concern that he would be unable to settle for a role as number two and that it would wear on our partnership. She added that I had to be able to completely trust the person in that role. So she likely felt like he would try to undermine her authority. Okay, that's what that sounds like. So anyway, Senator Mark Kelly, now that's who they said initially that Barack Obama wanted to run against Trump. Felt like he had a better chance of beating him than Kamala. Okay, Senator Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, he was the remaining finalist, and Harris writes that she respected his public service in the military and in government, but she worried about his ability to handle the mudslinging of a campaign. She said he also hadn't yet had an old-ish moment. Okay, that's what she concluded about Kelly, whose wife, former Representative Gabby Giffords, narrowly survived a failed assassin's bullet to the brain. I wasn't sure how he would cope with the kind of garbage Trump would throw at him, she says. Harris says repeatedly that she took some of Trump's more personal attacks as a sign that he was worried about her and that she tried not to take what she saw as bait. In July, when Trump questioned whether she was Black or Indian, her father is of Jamaican descent and her mother is of Indian descent. She didn't like advisor Brian Fallon's suggestion that she give a speech about race like a famous address Obama delivered during his 2008 campaign. She said, I was so pissed, I didn't hold back. This is what she recalled. And she said, are you effing kidding me? That's what she told Fallon. Today he wants me to prove my race. What's next? He'll say I'm not a woman and I'll need to show my vagina. Ooh, honey, did y'all hear that? Kamala went in, honey. Now, regrets, she had a few. Chief of which was her response to the ill-fated query on ABC's The View about what she would have done differently from Biden. There is not a thing that comes to mind. Trump's team jumped on the response, which would haunt her until Election Day. She says, I had prepped for that question. I had notes on it. There was the answer I'd given in the debate. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm certainly not Donald Trump. I had a note that I was a new and different generation, and I had this. But to specifically answer your question, throughout my career, I have worked with Democrats, independents, and Republicans, and I know that great ideas come from all places, she writes. But if I'm president, I would appoint a Republican to my cabinet, but I didn't say any of that. Harris writes about several regrets surrounding her first interview as the Democratic nominee, a joint session with Waltz, hosted by CNN's Dana Bash. She wasn't happy with an alignment of chairs that emphasized Waltz's physical stature over hers, and she was disappointed in her own answers to several of the questions. Most of all, she writes that she shouldn't have agreed to appear for the first time in an interview with her running mate at her side. Didn't I tell you all that? I'm sorry, do you all remember me telling you that? Once in the chat, if you remember me telling you all that. I brought up the stature of him sitting next to her in the chair. I said they had him sitting higher or like elevated above her to a degree, and it looked like he was in a position of authority over her. In fact, as if he were looking down on her, and that was not a good look because she's the one that's running for president, so she should have looked more authoritative in that instance. I told you all that. All right, please pay attention. Now she's saying the same thing herself. Okay, and then she also said that when they asked her about the situation with her, what would she do differently from Biden? Well, we all said that, didn't we, family? We all said that she definitely should not have said that she wasn't going to do anything different because people were already complaining about Biden. So that definitely was a bad move. Okay, so I'm glad that she's owning up to it, because another thing is people have said that she hasn't been taking accountability for the role that she played in her loss of the election, that rather she's been pointing the finger of blame and shame at others, such as the Obamas and Joe Biden. So, but in this article, it seems like she, or what she wrote in the book, seems like she is taking a bit of accountability. Okay. She also said she was disappointed in her own answers to several of the questions. Well, I'm sure she was, because those are likely the answers where I said that she was spewing word salad. Okay, most of all, she writes that she shouldn't have agreed to appear for the first time in an interview with her running mate at her side. Didn't I also say that? I said in her first interview, she should have been there by herself, because now it's given that she needs Tim Walz to sit there and hold her up. Like she can't stand her own too. Like she can't stand 10 toes down. Okay, that's what I said, because she's a woman running for president, for the biggest position and the most important position in this country. And we know that there are men who are male chauvinists and think that a woman can't do the job, and felt like she was possibly incompetent to do the job, that she couldn't fill the shoes. And her bringing Tim Walz to the first interview just further reiterated that for some of them who were already thinking that, in my opinion. So that's why I said that at the time. But anyway, I digress. So without further ado, let's go to the interview that she in fact did with Mr. Michael Strahan. And like I said, this one is better than Rachel Maddow, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know?
President Kamala Harris, who has a new book out called 107 Days. That's a nearly day-by-day account of her run for president and the 2024 campaign. Vice President Harris, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Michael. It's good to be with you.
Great to be with you. And we're just gonna dive right into it, because everyone seems to have their own theory. Mm-hmm. But why do you feel or believe that you lost the 2024 presidential election?
Well, I talk about a lot of the factors that I think contributed to the outcome. But the reason I wrote the book is, Michael, it really was an unprecedented election. You think about it, a sitting vice president running for re-election, 3.5 months before the election decides not to run. The sitting vice president then takes up the mantle, running against a former president of the United States who had been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. It's unprecedented. It was the closest presidential election in the 21st century. And as history writes about that election, I felt very strongly that I wanted to make sure my voice was present in how that election is discussed and covered. It's part of American history, and I wanted to make sure my voice would be a part of that.
So did you believe 107 days was enough? Did you wish of course you wish you had more time, but do you think it was enough? And if not, do you think that any other Democrat could have pulled it off in 107 days?
It was not enough. I can't predict the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of stars in our party. I'm sure that there are many people who would have done a great job. I can't predict what the outcome would have been.
Well, how do you, there were some Democrats who said that you don't take enough responsibility for the loss. How do you respond to that?
As I say many times in different ways in the book, the buck stopped with me. And I'm clear about that. And there were so many factors. You know, one of the
Hold on, let me say this real quick. D. Major Skelly said, I really do admire Rachel Maddow, though. She does some excellent work in journalism and political commentary. Oh, she absolutely does, beloved. I agree. That's why I use her commentaries sometimes, okay? She absolutely does. But in this interview particularly, I like Michael Strahan better, okay?
the aspects of those 107 days that I think is important to remember as we go forward is that we have an individual in the White House, the President Trump, who in running for re-election made a lot of promises to the American people that he did not keep. I talk extensively about the fact he said his main reason for running, and on day one, he was going to bring down prices. And I do believe a lot of people voted for him with that priority in mind. And look at where we are today. Inflation is up. The cost of food is up. Unemployment is up. He did not keep that promise to the American people. And we also need to remember those 107 days around some other stuff that he said. Mass deportations, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he would silence critics. And he has done that consistently. Mass deportations, you know, somebody told me recently a story about a fellow they were talking with who was a big supporter of President Trump when he was running. He's a Floridian, he's Cuban descent. And he shared the story of how his life partner, his wife, is now in deportation proceedings.
Hold on, I want you all to pay attention because she's talking about somebody whose life partner is now in deportation proceedings. Okay, so retired federal police officer says, you need a real strong woman to run this country. Kamala is weak-minded. She looks good, but was not mentally fit for the fights. Not fit for the fights. Okay. I don't know if anybody's fit for the fights with Trump's crazy self. Then Goodness Rated Bo wants to throw shade at the Queen. You all please pay attention. Goodness Rated Bo said, Queen, were you in the book? Oh boy, how you dog poor Kamala. You made Black Americans stay home. Goodness Rated Bo, please sit down somewhere. Okay? Please sit down somewhere. Yes, I did say some things about Kamala, but did I lie though? Did I lie though, beloved? Okay, I just voiced my opinion, as did many other people. And I don't think that I'm capable of having Black Americans stay home just from little old me voicing my opinions, okay? I don't have the power nor the wherewithal to make y'all's behind stay home, all right? Now, maybe Tariq Nasheed or somebody big time like that, Dr. Umar or somebody. Y'all can't blame it on little old me. I don't have that kind of power is all I'm saying. Y'all need to all sit down somewhere. Goodness Rated Bo. I know you ain't trying to blame it on me that Trump's in office. Okay, people that stayed home by choice. I had nothing to do with it, okay? I didn't tell anyone not to vote for Kamala. I didn't tell anybody to vote for Trump. I just said what I thought, what I was going to do. Now, with that all being said, DJ Big Six says she has the same talking points and never goes off script. Okay. All right. I'm not going to say the curse words. I'm trying not to curse you guys. Chief Jonesy said we still wasn't voting for greens in the tub on no day. On my family. Silly. Not on your family. Chief Jonesy, thank you for the reminder about the greens, the collard greens being washed in the tub, honey. That's never not going to be funny to me. Okay, who does that? And thank you for the contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings.
To be sent to Sudan. And when asked, what happened? Why did you have so much support from him? He said, well, I believed what he said, that he was going to only go after criminals. So part of the reason that I have written this book is for us to remember that there is somebody in the White House right now that made a whole lot of promises that were either about what would aggrandize and help him met out his vengeance, or about lies he told to the American people that he obviously never intended to keep.
And let's talk about somebody who was in the White House with you, President Biden. President Biden, said he believed that he insists that he would have won the race. So when you hear him say that, how does that make you feel?
Why are women everywhere choosing Abby X, the new tummy tuck alternative?
I think that the reality of it is that for me, I'm not going to predict what didn't happen. The reality is, and listen, I talk about how difficult January 6th was for me of 2024, not to mention 2020.
Yeah.
When I fulfilled my constitutional duty and responsibility as Vice President of the United States and President of the United States Senate to stand there as the former Democratic nominee for president and certify the election. Because I believe very strongly that in spite of all the other nonsense that might be coming out of my former opponent, I was not about to degrade the role of Vice President of the United States around acknowledging a free and fair election and the peaceful transfer of power, which is part of the hallmark of who we have presented ourselves to be as the United States of America.
Well, you said in the book that that's the hardest thing that you had to do.
It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, Michael.
But there are so many people out there who felt that President Biden shouldn't have run for re-election. And you wrote in the book that it was, quote, Joe and Jill's decision, that other Democrats decided it was Joe and Jill's decision. But do you regret not voicing your opinion in that moment?
Yes, and I actually have reflected on that, and I've written about that.
Oh, Mama Joycelyn just made a good point, you guys. Mama Joycelyn just made a good point. All right. First of all, Mama Joycelyn said in another comment, said people just don't like Kamala. She's being honest in the interview and in her book. Then Mama Joycelyn says people want to accept the low bar Trump is setting, yet holding Kamala to the highest standard known to man is extremely unfair. You know, I have to agree with you, beloved. I have to agree with you. I think that we did absolutely, some of us absolutely did hold Kamala to a higher standard. You're absolutely right, beloved. You're absolutely right. Okay? And that all came behind, for most people, that came behind the job that Kamala did as the prosecutor in California and the attorney general. Yeah, I think people absolutely did. Okay? Dangerous said harder than prosecuting Black people. All right. Mel said facts, Queen. Dangerous said, well, I agree as well. Perplex said, I respectfully disagree. Okay, I agree. I think we did hold Kamala, some of us anyway, did hold Kamala to a higher standard. See, because we knew Trump was just low-hanging fruit at the end of the day. Terrell said, no, I'm not going to do anything just for Black people. Yeah, that's it too. When she said that, that really rubbed a lot of Black people the wrong way. And it's not necessarily just the fact that she said it, it's the way she said it. So, you know, too late for goodbyes now. Like I said, we can't turn back the hands of time. I just pray that these next 4 years go past quickly and Trump's out of there before we can blink. Oh, honey, because this is all scary.
You know, I realize.
Would it have mattered if you did?
I don't know. I don't know. But I can only take responsibility for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And on reflection, you know, and I talk about it in the context of asking a question of myself, was that grace to not bring it up to him, or was it reckless? And on my part, I do reflect on that and feel that there was a recklessness about not raising it with him. I talk about what was going through my head, right? And what was going through my head to not bring it up was that it would come off as being very self-serving and therefore maybe lack the credibility that it deserved. But I do think about it. And I also say, though, and I speak extensively about this, my concern about him running for re-election was completely separate from my admiration and knowledge about his capacity to serve as president of the United States, which was consistent and never wavered.
Well, when we sit here, as we sit here today, do you think he would have been up for running the country for 4 more years?
Here's the distinction that I make. It's and having had the experience myself, it is one thing to have the capacity to govern. It is another thing to go through an election for president of the United States. So you are an athlete, you may appreciate this kind of metaphor. Running for president of the United States is like being in a marathon at a sprinter's pace with people throwing tomatoes at you every step you take. It is not for the lighthearted. It takes an incredible amount of endurance and stamina. And can you imagine doing it while you are also carrying literally the weight of the world as being president of the United States? So the distinction I make is about capacity to be president and what that election would require in that campaign, especially running against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and running against Trump, you had the big debate that we all watched. And you said leading up to that debate, you got a call the day of. And the call from President Biden left you angry and disappointed. What did he say to you?
Are you trying to feed your dog better but stuck between overpriced fresh food and low quality kibble? Hi, I'm Dr. Steph.
So he called me, and again, listen, this book, I am being candid in this book about behind the scenes what happened. And in a way that I hope is helpful for people to understand what that all was. And part of that call that he made to me the afternoon before the debate was to wish me luck, but also to talk about something that was more in his interest than it was in mine, especially in the context of that time. But let me also say this, that a large part of why this book has been written and why I wrote it is I really want to remind the American people, and there are so many stories I tell about in those 107 days being with tens of thousands of people, Michael, people who seemingly have nothing in common, who had enthusiasm and optimism and hope about the future of our country. And I talk about it now and always. We're living in very dark times. These are troubling times. And I hope and I pray that when people read this book, they will remember the light that they had that cannot be diminished by the outcome of one election or the existence of one individual. That light exists in all of us. And we have to see it in each other and let that propel us through these dark days.
And we see your passion for politics. We see your passion for the country. You ruled out that you run for governor, California.
Correct. That's correct.
Are you ruling out a run, or are you ruling out a run for president in 2028?
I'm not focused on that right now. I'm really not. I'm really excited about my book tour.
Well,
I'm excited about being out and listening to folks. I think it's important to listen. And elevate people's voices. There's when I'm out and about, I can't tell you the number of people that come up to me crying.
Well, do you think that writing this book could have burned some bridges, though, that could help you politically?
No, and that's not my intention, and I hope not. If you're talking about the chatter about who I talk about, we have nothing but stars as far as I'm concerned in the party. And I talk glowingly about who they are and what they are contributing. And frankly, I think that part of the problem that we have right now in terms of the punditry is to suggest that we are waiting for a Messiah and the Savior and the saving message, instead of seeing that we actually have a lot of stars who are doing very good work, pushing back, but also talking about what we stand for. And I think it's time that we also recognize that is counterproductive to keep saying who is the one, instead of seeing in front of us how rich we are in terms of talent. And let's support that.
All right, let's support that. We'll see if people will be supporting you if you announce you're going to run in 2028.
Oh my goodness! I just buy the book. Just buy the book.
All right. Well, former Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, go out and buy the book. It is a great read. 107 Days is available now.
All right. So that all being said, that was a good interview. Kamala came off as is even very likable in that interview. Okay. And she seems more relaxed and just willing to let loose and have a casual conversation. All right. So that all being said, hold on, Queen. ATN News just reported that the judge ignored Congress again on the Statute of Limitations Act for R. Kelly. Have you been over his documents from Bon Jing? No, I haven't, beloved. I haven't been thinking about R. Kelly, to be honest. Okay. I haven't been thinking about R. Kelly. I'll look into it. She knows she can't win a presidential election, says Terry. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, listen, I'm about to be out of here. But before I go, one's in the chat. Do you all want to go over that interview, just about 10 minutes of when Don Lemon got into it with Piers Morgan? One's in the chat if you do, twos if not. Somebody asked me if I would go over it just to, give my thoughts on it. If you all want to see it, let me know. If you don't, I'm fine with me because I got stuff to do. LeVar says yes. Y'all putting ones, y'all are so darn nosy. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go over it, honey, because when I tell you he needs to sit down somewhere, and I'm talking about none other than Piers Morgan. Okay, so this is from 5 days ago. I'm going to go to the video. I'm going to put an overlay because I don't need any copyright issues. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Did you invite me here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me?
I think you're being a complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be kind or respectful.
The ad hominem attacks.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk has sparked a bitter and...
Hold on, you all. Did y'all hear that? Chris said I didn't intend to be kind or respectful. No, he did. I am done, honey, but let's continue because this is about to get juicy.
Productive blame game between right and left, turbocharged by inflammatory calls for vengeance on the fringes of one side and callous celebrations on the other. Neither side wants to find common cause. Both hold the other side accountable for the febrile climate which led to Kirk's appalling murder. Viral clips appear to show people on either side doing anything other than taking the temperature. Kirk used new media to devastating effect in his mission to mobilize young people for his conservative movement. He understood the power of a viral moment to cut through a complex argument and the great appetite for proper debate. Just two of many things we all love about our digital culture. There's plenty of things many of us find repellent about it too. Witch hunts, vile smears we'd not dream of using in real life, and the business of saying things purely to generate attention through rage. Many prominent figures on the right have accused Don Lemon of doing exactly that this week, ironically, for making the very same claim about them.
The thing that is so obvious about it, and I think is so disgusting, is that you don't really care. You don't really care about Charlie Kirk. What you care is that this is a moment that you can use for clicks, to boost your podcast or your streaming show or your radio show or your television show or your news show or your MAGA bona fides with the MAGA group or your political stripes, that you can improve it, or you can have a moment where you're crying in front of the cameras. You gather all the reporters at the Capitol and you go, and it's your fault, and it's your fault, and it's the left and whatever.
Well, Don Lemon is, of course, a former CNN anchor like me, who now hosts the Don Lemon Show, clips of which appear frequently in many popular podcasts. And he joins me now. Don, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you? Good to see you, Piers.
We were both
introduction, but it's great to see you.
We were both greatly lamented ex-CNN anchors. In fact, we shared an office. You took my old office. I feel like we've got a lot in history together. Your reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder has stirred up a lot of anger on people on the right, particularly the clip we just heard where you talk about them not really caring about what happened to him and just reacting for clicks, crying for clicks and so on. I've interviewed quite a few people who are on the conservative right who knew Charlie Kirk well. I've not detected any of that myself. I do think that they were genuinely, utterly horrified by what happened. Do you not think that what you said there?
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us at our next investor webinar, where you can drill deeper into our 9 to 13% annual interest rate bond offerings and see how our company
was insensitive.
No, I don't. I'm surprised because I was actually taking up for Charlie Kirk. I was taking up for him as someone who died a horrible, untimely death, and that there are people who are out here trying to capitalize off of his death. I don't think it's that much different than what his friend, who is his confirmed friend, Candace Owens, is saying about folks who are using it for political and for career expediency. There are those who are doing it, and there are those who are not. And if you are not, then I don't think anyone who's not doing it took any offense to it. There's an old saying here in America: a hit dog will holler. So the folks who I felt a certain kind of way, and that I touched with that statement or those statements, then perhaps they should take a look at themselves. And by the way, as you know, Piers, you've been a victim of this. Many of us have been a victim to this. You take a clip, you do a short clip that is out of context, and then you make it into something that you want it to be rather than what I said. I don't see many people on the right at all of me running clips of me saying, I think, it was horrible what happened to Charlie Kirk. It should never have happened. I feel terrible for his wife and his kids. The kids are fatherless. She does not have a husband right now. I don't believe in political violence at all, whether it comes from the right or the left. No one played those clips. What they did was take someone like me that they can demonize. They feel that I'm on the left. As you know, Piers, we work together. I'm not on the left. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not on the right either. I have my own mind, and I make up my mind, and I decide on issues based on what I believe in and based on facts, not a certain political ideology.
Well, look, I would say that you're clearly a lot more left than right, surely. I've never heard you espouse a conservative sentiment.
I am a lot more fact-based than I am anything. And so I don't believe you are free to think that I'm on the left. And perhaps in this time that we're in now with the Trump administration and with MAGA, perhaps facts are on the left. And if you deem that being on the left, then so be it. I don't see myself as being a political figure or a figure who's on the left.
It's interesting your characterization about facts, because I would argue that one of the reasons Trump got reelected against all the odds, if you think about what happened after January 6th and everything else, the fact that he got reelected, I always felt was three-pronged, right? One was immigration. I think Biden completely dropped the ball with immigration, particularly on the southern border. Second, the economy. And thirdly, the whole woke issue, the whole woke culture. And in particular, I would say the issue, for example, of trans athletes in women's sport, which is, to me, if you're talking about facts, it is something that most Americans looked at and went, you know what, this is ridiculous. How can you deny biological reality? How can you go against scientific fact? So many would argue that it was the Democrats who lost track of facts and moved into a slightly strange, surreal place where they were trying to deny stuff, which most Americans went, well, that's ridiculous.
Look, I would not qualify it the way that you're qualifying it. I do believe that you have a point about the Democratic Party not understanding the moment that we're in, that America's in right now. As far as trans athletes, I think that was, although I understand to certain people it is a big deal, it is such a minute, small percentage of the population, and the trans athletes that are actually in schools and that are competing in competitions. It's so minor. It affects so few Americans. I'm shocked that it was used to the level that it was in the election, and to great success. And so I must commend the Republicans on an issue that wasn't really an issue for most Americans, that they made it into something that helped to catapult this president into office. Now,
but you see, I've heard a lot of Democrats using that argument. And I've said to them, you know, one of the most
Using what
effective.
argument?
I'm not saying you're a Democrat. I'm just saying I've heard a lot of Democrats say it. And my argument to them has been, yeah, but I don't. You know, the New York Times reported that the they them ad that Trump put out, which gathered momentum and then became used more and more and more, was one of the most effective.
I think it was extremely successful.
It was one of the most successful
I agree.
modern political adverts because it cut to the point, I think, again, about common sense that most Americans actually, you know, maybe they don't have it in their top 5 things they care about. I would absolutely accept that. But when you actually ask them, do you think this is fair? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's equal? Do you think it's good that women's rights would be eroded? They actually then do get quite exercised about it. Hello and welcome. We begin with some breaking news. Woke is dead. The war on common sense is officially over.
Or what happened.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it.
I'm not going to sit here and demonize trans people, trans women, or trans men because I just don't think that that is fair and that is productive in this moment. I'm not going to go back and litigate why Donald Trump won and on the, you know, the issue of trans. We simply disagree on that. I think it affects so few people. I think it was something that was blown out of proportion. And while, you know, there may be some people who are affected by it, and if they are, I'm sorry that that happens, but happens. But I just don't think that that was an issue that focuses.
So when
on
you see, for example, in the Paris Olympics, when you saw Imam Khalif, an Algerian boxer who had been banned from the World Championships for testing positive for male chromosomes, when you saw a young female Italian boxer quit after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard and genuinely feared for her life, and Imam Khalif goes on to win gold medal at the Olympics, does that not ring an alarm bell for you, Don? I mean, do you not think that the reason we separate sexes in the Olympics is because males have an advantage? I mean, why would you not think that's important? It's
Do you want me to tell
medal.
you the truth?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Piers, I'll tell you the truth about this. I heard about this story, but it's not something that I focus on. I'm not watching the Olympics like that. Maybe I'm different. I'm just not. I'm not that interested in watching everything. I like to watch the swimming. I like to watch the gymnasts. I'm not interested in boxing or any of that because I think it's a brutal sport anyway. So for me, it's just not that interesting. I'm sorry that anybody was hit that hard, but if you put yourself in the arena to be hit and someone hits you hard, then whose fault is that?
Well, you expect to be hit by other women, not men.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know
well,
who
when men hit women, we call it.
I'm sure she saw. I'm sure whoever was in that competition understood who they were going into the ring with. And if you put yourself in that competition in the middle of a ring where punches are being thrown, then you can expect to get hit hard, whether it is a man or a woman. And that's all I have to say about that.
So you would have no objection to men fighting women in a boxing ring?
I did not say that. I just said that's all I have to say about that.
But isn't that the implication of what you're saying?
No, I've said in many different ways.
Do y'all see how Piers is doing? Piers is trying his darndest. Okay, he is trying his darndest. Yes, Cushion commentary said he's baiting like crazy. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. He sees the man is trying to remain neutral, doesn't really want to get into it. He's just trying to ask the question in different ways to get the man to just say what he wants to hear. So ridiculous.
That's all I have to say about that.
Right. But I'm just trying to clarify what you just said about the boxing. Are you saying it's okay for men to beat up women?
I think I've been very clear. That's all I have to say. I think I've been very clear to you. That's all I have to say.
Well, you
about
have.
It.
I'm
If
just
you
a bit
don't
startled
play the
by
tape
what
back if you don't understand.
No, I'm just startled by what I think I just heard, which is you seem to think it's okay for men to hit women in a boxing ring. Is that what you said? Clarify if you didn't.
I didn't say. I don't think it's okay for men to hit women anywhere.
So why would it be okay in a boxing ring?
Well, again, I didn't say it's okay in a boxing ring. I just said that's all I had to say.
He is really trying it. You all, let me tell you all something. First of all, when Don Lemon said, I didn't say it's okay for men to hit women anywhere, or he said it's not okay for men to hit women anywhere, then Piers says, so what makes it okay for them to do it in a boxing ring? As if the man even said that. Like, he is so damn annoying. The man didn't even say anything like that. Stop trying to put words in his mouth. But see, what he's trying to do is he's trying to tick him off. He's trying to provoke him to anger so that he can blow up and crash out. And then Piers will get more views and ratings. That's what he's trying to do. Okay, he was doing the same thing to the amazing Lucas. Honey, he is a provocateur. Please pay attention with his ridiculous self. Oh, and also, Michael asks for which email you should use to send me something. Anybody sending me anything, the email you should use is QueenAhmadiyyahShakur@gmail.com. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, for men to hit women.
So
anyway.
then it sounds like you agree with me that biological men should not be competing against women in a boxing ring.
Piers, no matter how hard you can try to, I told you, that's it.
It's not a gotcha question.
I'm not agreeing with you.
It's not a gotcha question.
I'm not saying it's a gotcha question. I'm just saying that I am done with this particular conversation. I don't think that it is productive. I've said what I said, and I'm not changing it. I don't agree with you. That's it.
But if you were doing your old show at CNN, you would have listened to your own response and gone, what exactly did he mean by that?
I probably would have said, okay, that's what you said, and then I would move on.
Okay, we'll move on. You've criticized the MAGA right for turning Charlie Kirk into a martyr. You said if a black man on the left went around saying what Kirk said, the right wouldn't consider him a hero. It's an interesting point. Let's take a listen.
Saying white women do not have brain processing power and are stealing jobs from black men, the right would fucking lose their minds. Mark Lamont Hill, Roland, Michael Eric Dice. Let's say these brothers, or Bakari Sellers, or someone like that. If they went around saying some shit like that, they would be canceled immediately. They would be fired. People would scrub them from their whatever business that they work for. Or if they said, when I get on a plane and I see a white pilot, I'm like, damn, we're going to, I'm worried.
You know, it's interesting because I've seen that blow up a lot in the last few days. So I went back and actually watched exactly what Charlie Kirk
Where are you
said.
watching all this? I haven't seen any of this blow up that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, it's been everywhere. Everyone's been showing clips of Charlie Kirk all week on social media.
I have not seen it. I guess maybe I'm just not on social media.
I mean, what's interesting is when you watch it all in context, it's a discussion that is prompted by the fact that Joy Reid, who you know well, had admitted she only got into Harvard because of DEI. So he said it all in the context of her revealing that, and which I think changes the impact of what he was saying. He wasn't just coming out with this. He was saying, there's Joy Reid admitting that she only got into Harvard.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. So Novella changed that.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit total body transformation.
I decided to give Sonobello a try. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is our...
Because of DEI.
Sorry, guys, I stepped away from the computer for a second.
Mm-hmm. What's your question?
So my question is, you've cited that example of him just unilaterally saying black women don't have the brain processing power and so on. But when you actually watch the whole clip in context, that's not what he said.
You were making my point about the clip before, and which is the same point about the clip now that you played of me, where the context is explained, which is he was talking about not only Joy Reid, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And it wasn't DEI that they were referring to. They were having discussions about affirmative action and about qualified people, qualified women of color who were offered opportunities or given opportunities that they may not have been given if it were not for affirmative action. And nothing to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what he said, and I watched the clip, he said that what they were admitting to is that they were somehow a DEI hire and so on, and about brain processing power. I would suggest that you go back and listen to the clip that clip in context of what he was saying. He clearly said what he said. And I guess because of political ideology or because of bias, people are trying to interpret it and make it into something else. That is not what he said. Okay. He was very clear about the brain processing or lack of brain processing power for Black women, or for those Black women.
With Charlie Kirk's death, a lot of people on the left have come out gleefully celebrating what happened. A lot of people have been posting stuff on social media, very happy. And they've turned out to be, teachers, professors, doctors, nurses. I mean, people in extraordinary positions of power over other human beings. What should happen to those people?
Well, I think we should look at every circumstances. It should be taken on the circumstances should be taken on their own merit, and what should happen to them should be taken, on individual merit. We should look at each of them. Now, I don't believe that anyone should be celebrating anybody's death at all, ever. And I don't think anyone should be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. We know, and you know, Piers, that freedom of speech does come with consequences, and there are limits. There are limitations to freedom of speech. And if you work for a private company, they have the right to fire you or discipline you for whatever it is that they want. If you break the rules, their codes of conduct, then you have to suffer the circumstances. So look, I 100% unequivocally believe that no one should be celebrating anything. And if any of those people broke the rules of their employer, their codes of conduct, then they should be disciplined or fired if it were.
Okay, now, with that all being said, Mama Joycelyn says, Piers forgot the people who made fun of George Floyd, made memes and also Halloween costumes. He didn't forget, beloved. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. He absolutely remembers that because the Amazing Lucas was also on his show. And Piers brought Amazing Lucas on there because he wanted to try to go in on him about the memes that he made about Charlie Kirk. Funny thing is, those memes that he showed, that the Amazing Lucas posted, he got those all off of the Amazing Lucas's Instagram. But what he didn't get off of there were the memes that Amazing Lucas also posted about how people made memes of George Floyd and Trayvon Martin. Why didn't Piers take those memes and show them as well? Well, he didn't want to, because that doesn't paint his narrative. He was trying to basically act like the Amazing Lucas was so low down for posting memes of Charlie Kirk that other people also posted, by the way, but he didn't bother to even acknowledge that racist people also made memes of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and Trayvon Martin. He didn't take those memes off of the Amazing Lucas's page because he didn't want to talk about those. You see what I'm saying? He didn't forget, beloved. He just didn't give a darn.
Do you agree?
But I don't believe in canceling people.
Right.
I think there's a lot of cancellation going on the right now, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Do you feel?
I wasn't comfortable with it on the left either.
Right. Do you feel you were a victim of cancel culture at CNN?
I probably. I don't think. I look at everything as an opportunity. Probably yes. I'm sure that I was a victim of cancel culture, but I would say mostly on the right for cancel culture.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is what led to you leaving CNN. Let's take a look at the clip.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not named.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. So I got another.
I'm not saying I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that.
Now you all pay attention, honey, because this is where the ish is going to hit the pan. Okay, this is where it's really going to go down because Piers played this clip, trying to be a smart artist. Okay.
When you watch that, Don, I happened to be watching that live, and I was like, "Whoa, what did you just say?" If you had a do-over, would you say that again? I mean, what led you to say that?
Okay, Piers, let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question, but just so the audience knows, and I hope you don't cut this out. When I asked you what subjects you wanted to talk about, you know what you said to me? You said, I want to talk to you about
freedom of speech in America and the response to Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah.
Not once did you mention that we were going to talk about CNN or whatever. So, and had I known that, I probably wouldn't have accepted this interview. You have invited me on many times, and I tell you, Piers, I know you. I would come on your show, but I don't do panels. And so when you said I'm not going to be involved in a panel, I agreed to come on your show. But I thought you would also stick by the subjects that you told me that you were going to talk about.
Just to be clear,
rather than try to ambush me with something.
Just to be clear,
so,
you and I haven't. Well, John, just to be clear, you and I haven't had any conversation about your appearance here. You're talking about my team talking to you.
Yeah, no, and I saw you, Piers, in a restaurant, and I said, "Hey, Piers, good to see you.
Yeah.
I would come on your show, but I don't do panels."
Right,
and I
you're
said
not
the
on a
same
panel.
thing to your bookers.
There's only one
and
of
so
you,
when
Don.
I asked you, and right, okay, and so yes, and I said that's why I agreed to do it. But when you asked me, or when your team asked me what subjects, and I asked them 2 or 3 times, I have the text messages, what do you want to cover?
Yeah.
Not once was CNN mentioned. So I don't appreciate being ambushed. But let me answer your question.
Hang on one second. No, Don, hang on 1 second. Let's just be crystal clear about what's just happened. You brought up the subject of cancel culture. I asked you, did you feel your departure from CNN was an example of that? And you answered the question. And I think it's perfectly reasonable.
And I answered the question.
Perfectly reasonable in that if you'd said to me, I don't want to talk about it, fine. You said what you're going to say. By the way, we don't.
Disingenuous. I don't like arguing like this. I'm not going to get into an argument with you. Piers, I think that's completely disingenuous. And I think anyone watching that.
What are you talking about?
And so if you will let me, if you will allow me, please.
What
please
are you
stop
talking
interrupting me,
about?
Okay, did you invite me?
See, this is exactly typical racist behavior. Okay, typical racist behavior. Now, I'm not saying what Piers did just now is racist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that on a regular basis, I just find that Piers Morgan is a racist, and I'm calling him that at this moment. But typical BS. Look at how he's sitting here pretending to be the victim, acting like Don Lemon is doing too much, like he's getting upset over nothing, like this is formally fine, playing dumb. Exactly, Claudette. Like, why are you getting upset? I just asked you a question. It's perfectly normal for me to ask you that after you said the answer about cancel culture. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, Piers Morgan is low down and dirty.
Here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me?
I think you're being a complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's.
Now you're going to insult your guest? Now you're going to insult your guest and call him a nasty name? That's right, DeCarlo says passive-aggressive racism. That's exactly what it is, beloved. That's exactly what it is. Now he wants to go and insult that man, because he doesn't like how Don is answering the questions. Wow. And then he also tried to gaslight him and play with semantics when Don said that when he asked what was going to be discussed, he didn't say anything about CNN. And then Piers is like, oh, you didn't talk to me. You talked to my staff. You talked to my team. Your team and staff work for you and go by what you say. And there isn't anything that they do or say as it pertains to booking guests for the show that they don't run by you first, Piers. So stop playing the games.
Very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be kind or respectful.
I don't like the hominem attacks. I could respond in kind.
You can say what you like about me. I don't care.
I think that I'm above that. I'm not going to do that, Piers. That's not who I am.
I don't understand why you're playing the victim card when you yourself mentioned cancel culture.
Because Piers, oh my gosh. Okay, hold on.
He's not playing the victim. Piers is the one playing the victim. Send her pretending to be so befuddled, like he's so clueless as to why this man is upset. This is all nefarious.
Let me just say, let me do this.
What are you going to do? Read out my team's messages to you?
Piers, it should be embarrassing. Yeah, I can read out the team messages to you because I just think it's completely unfair, and you know that. I'm prepared to answer your question, and then I'm going to move on. I told you I'm prepared to talk about Charlie Kirk's death, the response to it, and cancel culture, and freedom of the press, and freedom of speech.
You were prepared to talk about cancel culture, or you weren't?
No, I'm not prepared.
Oh, you're not prepared to talk about
cancel culture, but that has. Oh my God, Piers, could you stop interrupting me?
Not really. You're kind of exhausting me. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I couldn't do it. At this point, I could not do it. I would literally get up and walk the hell away. This man is so annoying, and he's trying to be. He's purposely trying to be a nuisance, okay? He keeps interrupting him. When the man asks him to stop, he says, I can't. Quite frankly, you're annoying. No, you're annoying, Piers, you devil. This is what devils do. I could not sit there in his presence any longer with him going on like that. Whatever he did, even if he made me upset, I promise you I would not let him know it. Okay? I would say, Piers, listen, it appears to me, beloved, that you want to have a conversation by yourself. You don't want me to talk, so I'm going to leave. Have a good day. Am I right? He needs to sit down somewhere. He can't help him. So he's trying so hard to incite anger, to provoke this man to anger. Yes, Claudette, rage baiting. That's exactly what he's doing because he's trying to get the ratings up. Okay, he's trying to get more views. That's all this is about. And Dawn knows it.
Why would you react this way to a perfectly normal? Obviously, if you mention cancel culture, obviously it's rational and logical. I would ask you whether you felt what happened to you at CNN was that. I played the clip and then you throw a hissy fit.
I've given you a moment. Enough. I've given you your moment.
I don't want a moment.
This is going to go viral. So please,
I don't want
enough.
A moment,
yes, you
Don.
do. Otherwise, you wouldn't do this. Otherwise, you would be a respectful journalist and host. And
I don't think I'll take lectures of being a respectful journalist
because you want a moment. Oh my gosh, Piers.
I won't.
I can't even hear because there's a delay and you keep talking. And what do you want me to do? Like rip the earpiece out in the mic and run off so you have a moment?
No, I don't care.
Are you going to let me answer the question? Are you just going to keep pillaring me with questions?
I don't know why you've gone on this weird rant. I don't understand any of it. Why have you done this weird reaction? I simply asked you about whether you felt your departure from CNN was, in your eyes, an example of cancel culture. I played the clip,
Piers,
and
you're
I then
embarrassing yourself,
I then said, when you watch it back, do you really understand what you were saying?
This is why I don't do this, but you're embarrassing yourself, Piers.
Actually, you might be embarrassing yourself,
Oh my God. Okay.
Now he's going tit for tat.
Yeah,
Being so
you might be. Have you thought of that?
Sure.
Okay.
You're a journalist. You don't want to talk about a story, a massive story that involved you?
Piers, can we move on? You can let me answer the question, and then we can talk about the things that you invited me on to talk about.
Why don't you just answer the question to start with?
And we've gotten so far away from what you wanted me to answer that we're off into La La Land. So let me say something about that. The clip that you played had nothing to do with me leaving CNN.
There's only one meat stick I trust for my family, and it's the one.
Right. That clip didn't even have anything to do with him leaving CNN with his silly self.
You know something that I don't know about me leaving CNN, then you should tell me about it. It had nothing to do. I worked there for months after that. So that had nothing to do with it. And so, I forget the other thing that you were asking me about in that clip. But
I asked you when you watched the clip back, if you could explain what was going through your mind. That's all.
Thank you. I think the key phrases in that clip, if you want to be honest, and I want you to listen to it, is that I'm not saying that I believe that. That's not according to me. What I was speaking for there is how society treats women. And someone like Nikki Haley should know women have been discriminated against for centuries. She should be more careful than to say something that discriminates against older people. That's it. And so people took that out of context. No one puts in whenever they write about it that I said, I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. I said that very clearly there. So that is not the reason that I was let go from CNN.
And Don absolutely is telling the truth. He literally said, this is not how I feel. He literally said that. So what is Piers talking about, this stupid self? Okay.
So again, unless you know something, then go ahead.
Well,
and tell
as
me,
you know, it was widely reported that was. So what was the reason?
Don't believe everything you read.
What was the reason?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
But it all happened after that incident. You know that.
Yeah. Well, Piers, everything happens after something. I don't understand what your point is.
Well, my point is, I think it's quite newsworthy. If you say it had nothing to do with that, then it'll raise the obvious question.
I don't think it's newsworthy, Piers. That was 3 years ago.
Right.
It's not newsworthy. That news means something that's new. This isn't new.
Right.
That was 3 years ago. That's
Okay,
been
it's
all
the first-
litigated.
it's
If
the
you want to
first
find
time-
out about it, you are free to be able to read the interviews that I read. You're free to read the statement that perhaps your folks should pull up the statement when I left CNN, and that can explain to you what happened. So this is nothing new.
You
It's
just
all
told me
water
you've
under
no
the bridge.
idea why you
I
were
have
let
moved
go.
on. I'm doing something completely different, and so that's that.
Robbie, you just said you've no idea why they got rid of you.
Yeah, I did.
So how do you know it wasn't to do with the clip we just played?
I just said that. I just answered your question. Now, what else do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about, Dom?
The subjects that you invited me on to discuss, Piers.
I thought that included free speech and everything around that.
I know you're loving this viral moment. I just think that you're embarrassing
I don't
yourself
think
in
you
this
understand
moment,
what me
go
at
on.
all. I've got nothing against you at all. Never have had. I was perfectly.
Piers, you think I don't understand you? Piers, I worked with you for years. I know more about you probably than most people who are watching this program and a lot of the people who are working with you.
Why would
I worked with your staff. I inherited your staff at CNN. I know way more about you than I would care to know. I know way more about how you do business and how you approach journalism than I care to know. I have not been on anyone else's show. I don't want to be on anybody's show. I don't want to do panel shows. I don't want to argue with people about things that are inconsequential. What we should be talking about right now is how to keep what happened to Charlie Kirk from happening to anybody else. That's where the conversation should be. But instead, you're trying to get a moment. You're trying to make some news out of something. But go ahead, have your fun. But we should be discussing something that is productive to the American people instead of you going into the garbage and trying to find something that will, give you a moment or that you will, get a click out of it or more viewers for your program.
You sound very bitter, Dom.
He's still at it.
Piers, are you kidding me?
No.
Bitter. I'm the happiest go lucky person ever. I'm just exposing your hypocrisy and how you lied to me about what you wanted to discuss.
I've never talked to you about this interview at all.
You don't have conversations with your producers? So your producers lied to me, or you're not that
you've admitted, You've admitted one of the subjects we wanted to talk to you about.
You're not that involved in the editorial process of your own show, where they don't convey to you
by your own admission
what you are.
What, Don?
The guest
what
the guest is going to talk about.
Don?
On the
you
program?
obviously expected
Are you not that involved in the editorial process of your own show that you don't know that. Piers?
Already admitted that one of the subjects was free speech, and yet here you are getting enraged about me exercising my right to free speech to ask you a few questions.
Piers, I'm not enraged. I'm not enraged at all. I think this is kind of funny. I'm not enraged at all. I mean, it's kind of exactly what I thought, like, hey, I don't want to go on the Piers Morgan show because of the spectacle of it all. And so that's confirmation of that. But I'm glad you got this moment. This is a moment for me as well. That's going to play out on social media. It's going to be good for me too. So go for it.
What moment do you think we've got?
Chris is a whole idiot. I mean, do y'all hear this man? Sorry, you all. I accidentally clicked myself off, but Piers is something else. Do you all see the games that he was sitting up there playing? Oh my goodness. It was literally cringe. It was literally cringe. Okay. Yes, Terry Hint said entire idiot queen. Yes, he was. And then retired federal police officer Carol Banks said this worse than Queen and Marlon. Okay. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. And he just kept trying so desperately to push the limits. It's easy to tell when someone's trying to tick you off, when someone is trying to provoke you to anger. Then he had the nerve to say that Don was bitter. The man wasn't even arguing with him. He wasn't even raising his voice. He was doing all he could do to sow discord, okay? I absolutely cannot with him, honey. He is a whole fool. Now, we know that he absolutely wanted to have a moment just like Don said. That's what he brought the man on there for. Then going to bring up CNN. And here's the thing. When he literally tried to gaslight him by saying, oh, I thought you came on here to talk about freedom of speech, but here you are getting enraged because I'm simply trying to express my freedom of speech. First of all, freedom of speech has nothing to do with you lying or having your staff lie to someone that's a guest on your show and tell them specific talking points that you're going to have with them, what the conversation and dialogue is going to be about, and then you come on there and ambush him about something, and now you want to act as though there's nothing wrong with you doing it because of freedom of speech? This man is a whole mess. My Aunt Egypt said Piers has narcissistic behavior. That's exactly what I was getting from it, beloved. That's exactly what I was getting from it. Okay, anyway, I wanted you all to see that because I thought it was so hilarious, honey. I thought y'all would get a kick out of it if you hadn't seen it already. Special case said using trigger words. Exactly, beloved. That's exactly what he was doing. Then tried to call the man bitter to make it seem as though he was some angry black man. Okay, some angry black man, the boogeyman. We're always the bad guys in the story. You all noticed that, right? In the story, no matter who's telling it on their side, we're always the villains. I find it all so nefarious. Okay, Laverne said this was a good one, Queen. Okay, thank you. Anyway, listen, beloveds, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. And if you didn't see the broadcast from earlier this morning, make sure you go back and watch it. It was about the letter that Young Miami wrote in support of Diddy to the judge, okay, as he's facing sentencing. There were other people that wrote letters, his mom, his children, other friends, Dallas Austin included. Go back and watch that. But I'm going to tell y'all what got me about that letter that Young Miami wrote. When she said at the end, she said, that's a good man. When she told the judge that, I hollered when I first read it because I'm like, that's a good man, Savannah. Okay, that's what it was given. So anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Until next time, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hit him with that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got